Hey everyone. Today we're going to talk about something deep, something most people feel but rarely name. Picture this. It's early morning. Your eyes are open, but your soul feels heavy. You scroll, you sip your coffee, you check the clock again, and yet beneath the routine, something aches. It's not pain exactly, not sorrow. It's more like an emptiness that follows you quietly, like a shadow you can't shake. You felt it in traffic, in crowded rooms, even when things are going well. A hollow you can't explain. Are you in this situation? You're not depressed, not dramatic. You function, you smile. But when the noise fades, when you're alone, there's a silence inside you that feels louder than it should. That feeling is real, and it's not weakness. It's a signal, a divine one. Because the ache inside of you isn't just emptiness, it's evidence. Evidence that your soul remembers something this world can't give. You were made for more, and that more is God. So before we begin, take a second to like and subscribe, but only if something inside you wants more of God. Comment where you're from, and how long it's been since your last real prayer. Ready? Breathe deep, clear the noise. Christ is near. Let's begin. Listen carefully. That ache in you is not a flaw to fix. It's a call to follow. The world will try to medicate it, numb it, entertain it, but none of it lasts. You've already noticed that, haven't you? No matter how many plans you make, how many goals you chase, how many distractions you stack, the silence comes back. The ache returns. Not because you're broken, but because you're homesick. Your soul longs for the one who made it, and he's not far. Here's one unshakable truth. God is already near. Not when you pray well, not when you feel worthy. Now, as you are. He is not waiting for you to clean yourself up or perform. He is not watching from a distance with crossed arms. He is here, right now. And he's been whispering, I'm with you. Through your doubt, through your numbness, through the weariness that you don't even tell your closest friends about. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you let yourself feel your need for him? Not the last time you went to church, not the last time you said grace, but the last time you stopped and said, God, I miss you. Or, I don't know where you are, but I want you. That's where it begins. Not with certainty, but with surrender. You don't have to be ready. You just have to be real. Here's your call to movement. This morning, kneel. Not because you have something holy to say, just kneel. Put your phone down, close your eyes. Say his name. One word. Jesus. That's enough. Let him meet you in the silence. Let the ache speak. Don't run from it. Let it lead you home. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. That ache is not your enemy. It's the hand of God pressing gently on your soul. He is near, and he is calling. You used to pray with fire, or maybe you never have. Maybe your prayers were once raw, unscripted, even clumsy, but they were yours. You used to whisper his name when no one was watching. You used to lift your eyes and expect him to answer. But now the silence is louder. The prayers are fewer. Your heart feels distant, and you wonder when the disconnect began. You didn't mean to drift. You didn't wake up and say, today I stopped talking to God. It just happened. Life pulled, distractions grew, hurts stacked up, and slowly prayer became awkward, distant, cold. But here's the danger. When you stop speaking to God, another voice always steps in. The enemy doesn't wait for permission. He's subtle. He's strategic. He starts with half-truths. You're too far gone. God's tired of you. Your prayers don't work. You hear these whispers not because you're weak, but because you've become vulnerable. A prayerless heart is an unguarded gate, and the enemy knows it. Yet even now the Lord is near. Even now his Spirit groans for you, intercedes for you, reaches for you. He is not far. He has never been far. Even in your silence, He has stayed, watching, waiting, wanting you back. He is not offended by your absence. He is moved by your return. Here is the truth that stands unshaken. Prayer is not a duty. It is your lifeline. You breathe it or you suffocate. You speak or you wander. It is not a chore to check off, but a lifeline to grip. And the beauty? It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be long. It just has to be real. God is not looking for eloquence. He's looking for honesty. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you prayed like it mattered? Not to impress, not to feel holy, but because your soul needed water. When did you last cry out, not for answers, but for Him? That's the kind of prayer that shakes heaven. That's the kind of cry that angels rush to attend. And that's the voice He's still waiting to hear, yours. Today, stop what you're doing. Go somewhere quiet, even if it's just a corner of your room or a parked car. Close your eyes. Place your hand over your heart and say this: Jesus, I miss you. I want you. I need you. Say it again if you have to. Say it until it cracks the shell around your heart. Say it until the tears come, or until they don't, but say it. Let this be the morning your heart opens again. Not to a perfect prayer life, not to a flawless schedule, but to relationship. Prayer is not a performance. It's not a religious task. It's the returning of a child to their father. No matter how long it's been, no matter how far you've wandered, there is a place for you still. The door has always been open. Come back, not with shame, with desire, with hunger, with truth. The Father sees you from a long way off, and He's already running. You think the guilt you carry disqualifies you. You think if people really knew what you've done or what you still struggle with, they'd turn away. And maybe they have. Maybe you've been judged, gossiped about, labeled. So you assumed God would do the same. You stayed silent. You stayed away. You built walls around your heart, not to keep others out, but to keep your shame in. You call it moving on, but what it really is hiding. But let's make this clear. Shame never came from Jesus. Never. He convicts, yes, but He doesn't humiliate. He doesn't expose to destroy. He uncovers to heal. There's not a single wound you have that He hasn't already seen, nor a single sin that caught Him off guard. He's not surprised. He's not disgusted. He knew what you were capable of before you even did it. And still, He chose the cross. Still, He called you by name. Still, He says, "Come to me." You don't have to pretend anymore. You don't have to dress up your repentance with fancy words. You don't have to wait until you feel worthy. You won't ever feel worthy. That's the point. Grace isn't for the ones who earned it. It's for the ones who finally admit they never could. Grace runs toward the broken, not away from them. And right now, it's running toward you. Here's the unshakable truth. Nothing you've done is stronger than the mercy of Christ. Nothing. Not the abortion, not the addiction, not the betrayal, not the years of silence, not the hate, nothing. His mercy doesn't shrink from darkness. It floods it. It pours into the cracks you've tried to seal shut. It softens the places that went numb. It reaches into the secret corners of your heart and whispers, "I still want you." So let me ask, what are you hiding? What do you keep pushing down, hoping God won't notice? Is it the lie, the affair, the resentment, the unbelief? You don't have to say it out loud, but say it to Him. This is your moment, not tomorrow, not next confession, now. He already knows. But your healing begins when your heart agrees with His truth. Here's your call today. Go find a cross, a real one if you can, or even just a crucifix on your wall. Sit before it. Let your chest rise and fall slowly. Don't speak yet. Just look. Look at what love looks like. Not clean, not distant, pierced, bleeding, willing. Look at him and then say this: if you still want me, I'm here. And wait. Don't rush past the silence. Something holy happens there. You will be tempted to doubt, to walk away again, to believe that this moment was just emotion. But it wasn't. It was grace. And grace never leaves you the same. Grace always calls you deeper. Let today be the start of that depth. Not through more effort, but through surrender. He is not waiting for the version of you that performs. He is waiting for the version that's real. Bring him your mess. Bring him your guilt. Bring your whole self. He already carried the weight. You don't have to anymore. There's a reason the enemy keeps bringing up your past, because he's terrified of your future. He knows what would happen if you truly walked in the freedom Christ already bought for you. He knows the kind of impact your healed life could have. So he lies. He accuses. He twists your memories until you begin to believe that your worst moment is your permanent identity. And then he names you by that shame: the addict, the cheater, the failure, the fake. He repeats it like a chant until it sinks in. But hear me, he is a liar and the father of lies, and everything he speaks is meant to sever you from the truth that can set you free. Here's what Christ does differently. He knows your sin, but calls you by your name. He sees every wound and still calls you worthy. He looks at the scars, the failures, the regrets, and says, I want that one. He doesn't flinch at your mess. He isn't shocked by your lowest point. He steps into your story and stays there. He doesn't demand you clean up first. He steps in and starts cleansing. His voice is never accusing, but always inviting. Come to me. This is an unshakable truth. You are not your past. You are not your worst moment. You are not the sum of other people's judgments. You are who he says you are: redeemed, forgiven, beloved. You were not bought with silver or gold, but with his own blood. He didn't rescue some idea of you. He rescued you, the broken version, the weary one, the inconsistent, emotional, complicated soul that you are. And he says, this one is mine. So let me ask, what name have you been answering to? What labels have stuck to your soul? Were they given to you in moments of anger, or whispered by your own fears, or inherited from generations who never knew their worth? Have you been walking in an identity shaped by wounds instead of grace? What if, right now, to believe God over all of that? Today's reflection is simple but deep. Stand in front of a mirror. Look past the tired eyes. Look past what you see, and say this: I am not my past. I am not what was done to me. I am not what I've done. I am who God says I am. Say it slowly. Let it sting if it has to. Say it again until it starts to sound like the truth, because it is. And truth spoken aloud starts to take root. You've worn names that were never yours. The enemy wants you labeled so you never live free. But grace isn't a theory, it's a power, and it's powerful enough to rename you. That's today's movement. Renounce every false name. Speak them aloud if you must, then declare, that's not who I am anymore. You are not the anxious one, not the worthless one, not the rejected. You are chosen. You are clean. You are claimed. You'll be tempted to forget, to fall back into old labels, like slipping into old clothes. But those names don't fit anymore. They're too small for what God is doing in you. So tear them off. Refuse to wear them again. You're not who you were. You're not even who you were yesterday. You are being made new. So walk forward, not with arrogance, but with sacred confidence. Christ has renamed you, and what he calls holy, no one can call dirty. What he has claimed, no one can condemn. You are his. You were made for eternity. You know it, even if you've never said it aloud. There's something in you that refuses to be satisfied by what this world offers. You can feel it in the moments when success leaves you strangely empty. You've sensed it when the celebration ends, when the applause dies, and you're left with a silence that echoes. You've chased the goals, reached the next level, achieved the thing everyone said would bring peace, and yet something in your soul still whispers, "Is this all?" That's not failure, that's memory. Your soul remembers where it came from. You weren't made for comfort, you were made for communion, with the eternal, with God. But the world doesn't remind you of that. The world says, now is all you have. Feel good, look good, own more, prove more. It packages the temporary in shiny wrapping and convinces you to trade the eternal for what fades. You scroll, you compare. You want what others have, because maybe that will fill the ache. But nothing sticks, nothing stays, and still your soul aches. Why? Because God won't let you forget who you really are. Here's the unshakable truth. You are not a body that happens to have a soul. You are a soul that temporarily lives in a body. Your truest life doesn't begin at birth or end at death. You are eternal. Your soul was spoken into existence by God Himself, and it will never cease. Eternity is not a myth. It's not a poetic metaphor. It's real. Heaven is real. Hell is real. And the choices you make now carry weight beyond this life. That's not fear. That's reality. Because love always honors your freedom, and God will not force you to choose Him. So let me ask you, are you living like someone who believes in forever? Or are you chasing things that will fade with time? What consumes your heart? What people think of you? How much money you have? Whether you're good enough to be seen? These things matter in the moment, but none of them can carry you into eternity. None of them can save your soul. None of them will stand with you when you stand before God. Here's your moment to reflect. Take inventory, not of your bank account, not of your goals, but of your desires. What do you love? What do you cling to? What are you afraid to let go of? And if that thing disappeared, would you still know who you are? Would you still feel whole? Eternity asks hard questions, but they are holy ones, and they have to be asked now before it's too late. Today, turn your heart back toward heaven, not by withdrawing from the world, but by anchoring yourself in what is eternal. Ask God to give you eyes for forever. Ask Him to loosen your grip on what will turn to dust. Look around your life and ask, is this helping me get home, or is it keeping me numb? Some things need to be released. Some things need to be realigned. Your heart was not made to bow before small things. You were made to reflect the glory of God, not someday, now. You were made to bring eternity into this world. Every act of love echoes forever. Every prayer reaches beyond time. Every sacrifice opens the door for grace to pour in. That is your true life. That is your real identity. So begin again. Live like eternity is real, because it is. And the moment you stop living for what fades, the ache inside you will finally start to ease. Not because you've numbed it, but because you've answered it. You are not just passing through life. You are walking toward your forever.
You've asked the question before, though maybe you didn't say it out loud. Where are you, God? Not in anger, but in weariness. You've whispered it in the dark, after another night with no peace. You've muttered it under your breath, watching prayers go unanswered, doors stay shut, and your heart feel colder. You've stood in church, surrounded by people singing, and thought, they feel you. Why can't I? And when the silence stretches too long, you start to fill in the blanks with lies. Maybe God left. Maybe He's done with you. Maybe you're too broken, too inconsistent, too invisible to be pursued. But the silence of God is not the absence of God. It never has been. In Scripture, silence always comes before revelation. Before the floodgates of heaven open, there is a hush. And in your life too, there are seasons where God's voice isn't loud, but His presence is still real. You may not feel Him, but you are not forsaken. His silence isn't rejection. It's an invitation, a holy pause, a deep calling to deep. Here is the unshakable truth. Silence is often where God does his deepest work. It is in the silence that your motives are purified. Your dependence is tested. Your faith is strengthened. You see, real faith isn't built on constant reassurance. It's built in the tension of not seeing and still believing. It's easy to trust when God feels close, but trust becomes holy when you can't trace his hand and still say, I believe you're near. So let me ask you, how have you been reacting to the silence? Have you taken it as a sign that you're failing, that he's angry? Have you tried to escape it with noise, entertainment, busyness, even religious activity? Or have you dared to sit in it, to press in, to wait without answers? The silence will always test your soul, but it will also refine it if you let it. Think about it. Some of the most sacred moments in your life didn't come with fireworks. They came with stillness, a quiet whisper, a sense of being watched over even when you didn't know how to ask for help. That was him, the one who never sleeps, the one who draws near not in your loudness, but in your longing. Today, make a choice. Stop chasing noise. Stop filling every moment with distraction, just for 5 minutes. No music, no scrolling, no performing. Sit down in the stillness and say, Speak, Lord. Your servant is listening. And then, wait. Not for thunder, not for a miracle, just wait in trust. Let your soul be seen. That act of waiting is worship. That silence is a sacred space. The world fears silence. It fills it with endless chatter. But you, child of God, are called to something deeper. You are invited to dwell in the stillness and meet him there, because he is still speaking, just not always in words. Sometimes he speaks in the ache, sometimes in the peace that makes no sense, sometimes in the simple fact that you are still here, still reaching. That's grace. That's presence. He is with you in the silence. Don't walk away from it. Step into it. Because the next chapter of your faith won't be built on what you heard. It will be built on who you waited for. You're not just tired. You're under attack. That weight you feel, it isn't always emotional. That fog in your mind, the heaviness in your chest, the sudden waves of temptation or fear, they don't always come from within. They often come from the outside. This is not just fatigue. It's warfare. You were born into a battlefield, and whether you acknowledge it or not, the enemy sees your potential. He knows what could happen if you actually rose up in the power of Christ. So he tries to stop you early. He tries to wear you down, not with explosions, but with pressure, distraction, discouragement, isolation, lies. The enemy doesn't fear Christians who stay comfortable. He fears the ones who start to wake up. He fears the ones who start praying like they mean it, who start repenting and standing on truth. He fears the ones who remember who they are and who they belong to, because a soul in alignment with heaven is dangerous to the gates of hell. So the enemy will do anything to dull you. He whispers lies, not just to hurt your feelings, but to destroy your faith. And if you let those lies settle in, he wins before you even raise your sword. Here is the unshakable truth. Spiritual warfare is real. This isn't poetic language. This is reality. You have an enemy who prowls like a lion, but you also have a Savior who has already crushed his head. And you've been given armor, not to admire, but to wear. You don't need to invent strength. You only need to put on what God has already provided. The belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, the shoes of peace, the shield of faith, the helmet of salvation. These aren't religious metaphors. They are your survival kit, your inheritance, your protection. So let me ask you, do you recognize when you're in a fight, or do you just think it's one of those days? That surge of anxiety before you step out in faith, is it coincidence? That feeling of worthlessness after you try to pray, is it just mood? Or is it a strategic attempt to keep you quiet, small, and afraid? You're not paranoid, you're discerning. There's more going on than what your eyes can see. But greater is He who is in you than he who is in the world. Don't fight this alone. Don't fight it with your willpower. Fight it with the Word. Speak it aloud. Declare truth when the enemy comes in with accusation. Say, I am not who I was. I am not condemned. I am not forgotten. I am not alone. Say it until the atmosphere shifts, until the heaviness lifts, until peace returns. That's what happens when a child of God fights back. Today's movement is this. Suit up. Literally open your Bible to Ephesians 6. Read it aloud. Put your name in it. I take up the shield of faith. I wear the helmet of salvation. And then pray. God, clothe me today. Make me alert. Make me strong in you. Anoint yourself with oil if you can. Lay hands on your head. Pray over your mind, your heart, your home. Don't wait for the storm to come. Prepare now. You are not weak. You are not unarmed. You are not losing. You are a soldier in the army of the King of Kings, and He does not lose battles. Take courage. Stand tall. You were born for such a time as this. But more than that, you've been equipped for it. You've heard the words before. Go to Mass. Go to confession. Receive the Eucharist. And maybe over time, they've started to lose their urgency. They sound like obligations, like spiritual homework, maybe even like rules designed to measure holiness. And if you've drifted from them, you might assume it's because you're not good enough or not spiritual enough yet. But here's the truth. The sacraments were never meant to be trophies for the worthy. They are medicine for the wounded. They are rescue, not reward. The sacraments are not empty rituals. They are divine appointments, places where God Himself meets you in time, space, and substance. They are heaven touching earth, not symbolically, but supernaturally. Baptism wasn't just a celebration. It was your death to the kingdom of darkness and birth into the kingdom of light. Confession is not about shame. It is about liberation. It is the Father running to embrace you the moment you take one step home. And the Eucharist? It is not a symbol. It is Jesus, His body, His blood, His love given again and again without limit. Here is the unshakable truth. The sacraments are not optional. They are not add-ons for the extra devout. They are lifelines for your soul. Without them, your spiritual strength withers. Your armor rusts. Your hunger grows without nourishment. You don't receive the sacraments because your week went well. You receive them because you are desperate for grace. You receive them because you know, deep down, that you can't make it through this life without Him inside you. So let me ask, when was the last time you approached the sacraments like your soul depended on them? When did you last walk into Mass, aware that the same Christ who hung on the cross was about to enter into your very body? When did you last kneel in the confessional, not just to recite your sins, but to be reassembled, heart, mind, and soul? These are not motions. These are miracles. You do not have to feel holy to go. You just have to be honest. God isn't asking for perfection. He's asking for participation. He wants to meet you there. He wants to give you everything. But He won't force it. The invitation is always open, but you have to walk toward it. Here's your movement today. Find a moment to be practical. Look up confession times in your parish. Write it down. Make the decision now, not later. Set an alarm if you must, and go, even if it's been months, even if it's been years.
Go and say what's true. Let the mercy of Christ pour over you. Then prepare your heart to receive the Eucharist, not as habit, but as hunger. Every time you say amen, you are saying, I believe, I receive, I surrender. And if it's been too long, if you're unsure where to start, just begin here. Jesus, I want you in the sacraments. Teach me to meet you there. That one line is enough to open a floodgate of grace. The sacraments are not ceremony. They are not tradition for tradition's sake. They are power. They are the heartbeat of the church, and they are waiting for you. Go to them, receive them, be transformed by them.
You weren't meant to walk this journey alone. That heaviness you feel when you isolate, it's not just sadness or a passing mood, it's a soul signal. From the very beginning, God declared, it is not good for man to be alone. And He meant it. You were created for communion, first with Him, then with others. But in your pain, maybe you've pulled away. Maybe shame made you quiet. Maybe pride told you that needing help was weakness. Maybe past wounds taught you not to trust. So you hide, you isolate, you become your own protector. But isolation is not strength, it's a trap, and the enemy knows it. He wants you alone because you're easier to attack that way. A burning coal removed from the fire grows cold. A soldier away from their unit becomes vulnerable. And a believer removed from the body begins to starve. This isn't just emotional, it's spiritual. The ache you feel when no one knows your truth, that's not something to ignore. It's God's voice inviting you back into the family. Here's the unshakable truth. The church is not a building you visit once a week. It's a living, breathing body, and you are part of it. You belong, not because you're perfect, but because you're part of the design. Your healing accelerates in community. Your transformation deepens when shared. Your faith grows faster when rooted with others. And your freedom, it becomes contagious. Community doesn't mean surrounding yourself with flawless people. It means finding the ones who remind you of truth when you forget. The ones who say, I've been there, instead of, what's wrong with you? The ones who pray when you can't speak and stand when you feel like falling. You don't need a crowd. You need a few faithful ones. A voice that says, you're not alone. I'm with you. We'll go to Him together. So let me ask you, who really knows you? Who knows your struggles? Not just the polished version of you, but the real, bruised, beautiful soul beneath the surface. Who are you letting into your journey? Who are you allowing to challenge you, sharpen you, pray with you? If your answer is no one, then your next breakthrough may be on the other side of relationship. Don't wait for the perfect community to show up. Step out, show up. Be the kind of friend you wish you had. Go to Mass early and look around. Say hello. Join a group, even if it feels awkward. Message someone who's walked with God longer than you. Ask for prayer. Offer encouragement. This is today's movement. Take the first step back into the body. Because you don't grow in isolation. You grow in communion. And if you've been hurt by people in the church, you're not alone. Jesus was betrayed too. But He didn't give up on His people. Neither should you. There is still love waiting for you. Still friendship. Still intercession. Still belonging. Don't let past pain rob you of future healing. Don't let silence become your normal. You are not forgotten. You are not rejected. You are not supposed to carry this walk by yourself. You're part of a body. And when one part suffers, the rest moves to help. Let them. Let someone carry you until you're strong enough to carry others. Because one day, you'll be that person for someone else. You keep wondering if God has really chosen you. You think, surely someone else is more qualified, more faithful, more prepared, more pure, more spiritual. But here's what you need to hear today. God does not call the flawless. He calls the willing. He doesn't look for the strongest. He looks for those who say yes. Yes, you. Not some distant, perfected version of you. Not the one who gets everything right. The one reading this right now, with doubts, fears, regrets, and a heart that still dares to believe. You are chosen, not as a mistake, not as a backup plan, not as a last resort. You were created by God's hand, born in this moment of history for a reason. Of all the centuries He could have placed you in, He picked this one, this generation, these challenges, these people. Because your voice, your story, your light matter here and now. The world may feel overwhelming. The darkness may seem heavy. But God does not hide His children in times of trouble. He sends them. You are not just surviving this season. You were sent to it. Here is the unshakable truth. Your life carries eternal weight. Your prayers shake heaven. Your kindness disarms evil. Your courage inspires others to rise. Your simple obedience can ripple through eternity. You don't need a microphone to preach the gospel. You don't need a caller or a platform or a perfect past. You need a willing heart. A heart that says, "Here I am, Lord, use me." And He will. So let me ask you, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting to feel ready? To have more time? To clean yourself up first? That's not how calling works. God's voice doesn't wait for your calendar to open. He speaks now. He knocks now. The fear you feel isn't a stop sign. It's a sign that the enemy is trembling at what you're about to step into. Fear is often confirmation, not of your weakness, but of your potential. Shake it off. All of it. The lie that says you're too late, the voice that says your mistakes disqualify you, the weight of comparison. You are not someone else's copy. You are an original masterpiece, formed with intention, filled with purpose, anointed with power. The Spirit of the living God lives inside you. Don't live like He's dormant. Today's movement is clear. Say yes, out loud, right now. Even if your voice shakes. God, I say yes. And then ask Him, what's next? It might not be dramatic. It might be something quiet. Forgive that person. Call that friend. Sign up to serve. Invite someone to Mass. Begin a habit of morning prayer. The light begins in small flames, but fire spreads. The world is aching for what you carry, for the kindness in your voice, for the wisdom in your wounds, for the love you've received from Christ poured out in you to be poured out through you. Don't hide it. Don't hoard it. The time is now. The harvest is ready, and you are part of the answer. This generation doesn't need more celebrities. It needs saints. It needs courage. It needs mercy in motion. And that begins with you. Let the world see the light God placed in you, not for your glory, but for His. Because when you step into your calling, others will find theirs too. Take a breath. Let it settle in. You've just walked through 10 deep truths, and they weren't just meant to stir your thoughts. They were meant to awaken your soul. Maybe something broke open in you. Maybe something began to heal. Maybe you cried. Maybe you sat in silence. But you didn't just listen. You responded. Somewhere in this journey, your spirit moved. That wasn't emotion. That was grace. And grace always leads us home. You are not who you were. You are not where you were. Even if nothing around you has changed yet, something inside you has. The ache you carry isn't a flaw. It's a reminder that you were made for more. That silence you've endured isn't God's rejection. It's His preparation. That weight of shame, it's not your name. It's the very thing Jesus carried on His shoulders, so you never have to again. You were made for eternity, rescued for communion, called for this very moment in time, and yes, chosen for mission, not because of your strength,
but because of His mercy. So stay close to Him. Keep showing up. Keep saying yes. Don't let the fire He started go cold.